Ladies and gentlemen, how's everybody doing? It's Wednesday, which means it's time for Camera and Flask. Good to see you all in the chat. It's been an interesting day for several of us. How are my co-hosts doing this evening in the purple room with the brilliant yellow banana shirt? Ben Barden, what's going on?
All good. This feels like a dawn of a new era, doesn't it? It's amazing.
It's crazy.
New shiny software, maybe high resolution. Maybe we're going to have to fill. We're going to have to find another 10 minutes of the show every week to fill if this actually works.
I know. And then, of course, by the lovely eCam.live logo watermark, we have Mr. Jem Schofield, who is the lovely, cherished, esteemed owner of this channel. So make sure you subscribe to get not only this show every single week, but Jem Schofield's video. What's going on?
I'm here. I'm excited, but very cautiously optimistic about the beginning of what is really an alpha test that is born out of extreme frustration. I did a stream today, which no longer exists on my channel, or it does, but it's been made private or unlisted, because I was so frustrated with what was going on, and it wasn't just my bandwidth. And so we say goodbye with our hats off to Lightstream for the service that it provided, for the fun, the frustration, for the laughs, the tears, and today I've tried a lot of things, and my friends here have helped also, and so have many of the friends in the chat in testing, really kind of going through and doing a StreamYard test and figuring out that is not the solution. And here we are on eCam Live, which has, as all of these solutions do, its own idiosyncrasies once you start diving into some things. And here we are with hopefully better picture, better sound, and we'll see how the hour goes. But we're going to keep the watermark up for the next 2 weeks and try to make an overall decision on this. And that's what I got. So excited.
Yeah, so let us know how it looks, how it sounds. Do keep in mind at any moment your comment could show up on the screen. Like, trying to find something appropriate here.
Stay away from 360 grad and shiz nuts.
Right. All right, Larry. Boom. Larry's comment on the screen. So that's kind of fun. And we did a test a little bit ago. It seemed to be pretty solid. So we will see how this goes. Let us know if anything gets weird. And we'll go from there. So this week, we're going to be jumping into NAB Part 2, not NAB Part 2, if you will, talking about what's going on. We'll hang out with you guys in the chat. So yes, of course, Jem, I was about to transition. I'm not an amateur. I'm a professional.
I'm just saying it's been a long day. That's what I'm saying.
Let's dive in. And since he's so eager to get going, let's start with Jem. What are you drinking?
I'm gonna let you're so cheeky. I'm gonna let people decide. Am I gonna have Glenlivet Founders Reserve, or am I gonna have the Tomatin 12 double aged 2-barrel, whatever? So people just tell me which one, while the other people are saying what they're doing. Yeah, you're right, Rob. I look pretty good. That's about as far as it goes. So you guys pick Glenlivet or Tomatin. You don't have to spell it correctly. I'm much louder than Caleb. I shouldn't be much louder than Caleb. I'll turn my mic down and you'll tell me shiz nuts if that's better. No, you're not that loud, though. Okay, cool. All right. They're saying you're coming through soft.
Ben, what do you got to drink?
Well, Sean and I are on the same page today. I am also on the Queen Margot in my decanter from Lidl. Sean just commented a little earlier that he has bought the same thing and is on that, so that's nice to have someone to share that with. So that's the usual daily driver. Got to stop drinking beer this late at night. I never sleep.
How about you,
Caleb? There, Jem. That was the first comment in.
Tomatin.
Tomato,
Okay, good.
Whatever.
Here we go. Yep.
So for me, it's one I've had multiple times, and it's time to finish off this bottle. I shouldn't say that, but maybe only had it on this stream a couple times. I like it. That's textbook Caleb amount right there.
Yeah.
For anyone who can score.
Yeah. He actually buys them with that amount of alcohol in them.
Do you just have a cabinet full of bottles that are like 90% empty?
Pretty much. It
Perfect.
breaks my heart when this happens, when it's all gone.
Yeah,
you know?
that's not nice.
I mean, nobody likes a sad, liquor cabinet. You want it full of bottles and interesting choices, so I usually leave some in, but yeah.
We are broadcasting in 1080p, which is, believe it or not, in live stream land is not something that is always common. A lot of these other solutions are 720. And our signals are coming through Skype. So we're using Ecamm Live, but their communication system is Skype. Apparently, Andre said that they support Zoom as well. I haven't found that information yet. And I hope they keep developing this because I would love to give them some feedback. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if they gave us... Oh, snap.
So, snap.
Let us know what y'all are drinking as well.
Yeah, Slanjava. Let's go.
Na zdrowie. Cheers.
Cheers.
Sorry, Caleb. What were we saying?
That's good. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Oh, just is hilarious how everyone was like, oh my goodness, it looks so good.
And do you know what? Honestly, because this hasn't been in the offing like for a week. This hasn't been planned slowly, this transition to this new system. This happened when I got this thing from, like, I was mid-editing something that needed to go out this evening, and then I got this. Can you get on Skype about, an hour and a half ago?
I fucking blew my lid. Let's just say it like it is, okay? Call a spade. I had it, and it was all over.
See, this was the thing, though, because normally, I know that this softens our image a little bit, the way that we have been doing this. So I've been going, shave, nah, bollocks to it, it'll be fine. And now they're all going, you can see every pimple. So next week, I'm gonna actually have to start.
If this keeps working and Jem goes with the Pro package or whatever, we should try streaming in 4K. I accidentally did it once and it actually worked. It was like 20 frames per second. But it actually held up for a little while.
I've got my Camlink 4K. We could do it for sure. There's no reason why.
I've only got this.
Well, we'll all be scaled down, but the point is, you'll be able to read every title of the book on those, shelves in Jem's background.
Yeah.
So,
beautiful.
With all that out of the way, should we get into some news? Anything you guys saw that really stuck out to you?
Yeah, well, I'd love to hear from the chat a lot today, too. I think this is a good chat week, and bringing that up. But I would say interesting stuff going on with 8K cameras this week, especially if you head over to News Shooter. We've got a new Kinefinity camera, which is at about $11,000, $12,000 US. Ginormous photo sites, even though it's 8K. Like, the whole thing is that it's just... a really interesting camera that also records in ProRes RAW. So that's pretty unique-ish in the space. And then there's also a company out of China, like Kinefinity, which apparently has ripped off some of Zcam's intellectual property. And there's a whole little going on. And they have an 8K camera, which they're going to release for something ridiculous like $2,800 US.
Yeah.
So this is a kooky place. Yeah.
But that camera, did you see the sensor that's in it?
It looks tiny.
Yeah.
Right. No, the sensor in it, do you remember last year? Was it last year or the year before? I'm going to have to scroll down to just double check that I'm remembering this correctly. But I think Casio or someone made some 8K... terrible. Sharp. I knew it was one of those. Someone that makes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Sharp. Yeah, that's what's in it. I think. I'm sure I read that.
Micro
somewhere.
Four Thirds.
Is it the Texas Instruments 16K camera? Is that what it is?
it's yeah. So
TI. They're the calculator company. At least when I was a kid.
Sharp Zone 8K prototype camera that was released last year, and everyone was. What the hell is this for? Because it was just like a little compact thing.
What?
Yeah, that's the sensor. So there you go.
So what do you guys think about this 8K Kinefinity camera? That's the one that has, some big specs in it. That's the one that, obviously is
will actually happen.
Yeah, I mean, with this landscape, though, with our C500 Mark IIs and everything, I mean, 8K is important in small segments of the market, but if you've dealt with Kinefinity to date, they don't have any customer service as a company. There's no real point of contact, and that's my biggest concern. They may make the best camera that's out there, we don't know, but who are we talking to get support? Who are we, getting anything from? I heard there's one outfit out of LA that might have something to do with it, but they're not really, it's not like Aperture where they set up shop and, they really have a US based part of their business. So that to me is like a big concern. I don't know.
Yeah.
And price point, that's getting really close to it's high. I mean, I think.
Oh, really?
It's going to struggle again. Do you think? I don't think for a brand without that support behind it, when you've got the C500 Mark II at not a huge amount more.
What? It's $4,000 cheaper for 8K full frame.
But how many people
has ND built in? So that's a first for them, right?
Yes, that's right.
And it is electronic
first.
ND as well.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right. They have it in one other product, I believe. So, yeah. So it's kind of like Sony's, their variable ND.
Right.
So they've got that.
And I'm gonna do something real quick. I'm gonna switch to the screen capture. Let me know if things get weird with audio as soon as you can. But switch over here so you guys can actually see what we're talking about. Looks like levels are coming in fine, so that's good. But yeah, big sensor. 8K, and this is what's crazy too, is not only, what we've talked about, but did you guys see the frame rate options and resolution options? 8K up to 75 frames per second.
Yep.
Looks like open gate up to 48, 6K up to 100 in Super 35, 5K up to 120, dual native ISO, and oversampling options. So it's pretty wild.
It is pretty wild.
Oh, shoot.
But who do you think it's for? Like, that's the thing that I'm struggling a little with. Is who's that aimed at? Who are the people that are going to be buying that?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. I couldn't hear you when I switched over to the screen capture. So
okay.
have to not do that.
Who's going to be buying it? It's I mean, I think we're looking at a similar market to people who, look at Zcam and the options that are there. They want them, and nothing wrong with Zcam. I actually really like what Zcam's doing, and I think they're making good cameras, and their price point is where it needs to be. But it's the people who want a camera that gives them basically every spec under the sun without spending $50,000 to $60,000, right? So it's okay. Now I have a camera that can allow me to do pretty much anything. How well it does it, who knows? How good the support is, probably not great. But if you're willing to take the chance on it, then it's a really great experiment. It's just not the camera that you buy when you want to crank out jobs for clients day in and day out. If you're running a channel and you want to do test out every camera feature and create content around it, this Kinefinity camera would be great, and it would be really fun to shoot with it. I just don't see how it fits into like a corporate, quarterly purchase. Right.
No, it doesn't fit into that. It doesn't fit into those people who need the workhorse, that need something that's reliable and that need the backup for when things go wrong. But then it fits slightly above that kind of indie market, I would say, as well. I mean, there's obviously the higher end of that it maybe skirts into, but it's an oddly, that's what I was meaning about it seeming expensive to me. Not that for that spec it's not, but it just means, just in terms of who's going to be buying it, it just fits between those two markets, and I be interesting to see how they do with it.
I will say this. Sure. No, I will say this. If you think about 8K is to 4K what 4K is to 1080. So at a certain point in time, there are people who are very interested in having an 8K native resolution camera, because when they are in post-production and they are editing, they want to have the same basically scale ratio, the same punch-in ratio that they have when they were shooting in 4K and they were in post in their timeline in 1080. So the math works, right? Because a lot of people are moving up to 6K cameras. They don't get to punch in as much as they did when they were going 4K to 1080. They get to punch in about 140% instead of 200%, as long as you're tack sharp and you've got a good sensor and good lenses and all that good stuff. So I think 8K will obviously play into what a lot of people do in the future. I just think this is sort of the interim bump from a company that's not the big company, but we look a year to 2 years out, and that's not when Arri necessarily does it, but for sure, we already know Red's doing it. But Canon has shown 8K cameras. We know that Sony's going to come out with an 8K camera, and I would be very surprised with the products that they have in their product line if Blackmagic did not come out with an 8K camera within a year or less. Because think about it, they have all of the hardware to already deal with the 8K pipeline. If you look at their products, besides cameras, they're already set up for 8K. You know, I'm not talking about A10 minis. I'm talking about, and that's, you know, that's on the high end of the market. That's what they're doing, and that's kind of what the Olympics were supposed to be this year. Was the beginning of this sort of whole 8K thing, and as Alex Lindsay said on Office Hours, they probably needed a little more time. You know, the delay is probably good for this whole 8K thing because they need to sort out some stuff.
Yeah, Blackmagic I think is setting themselves up for a domination like period of time. What they're doing with their Pocket series and like the A10 minis, they're just going for it. They're throwing everything at the wall, and I love that.
It's interesting. Did you see that the Pocket 6K got a price reduction today as well?
Right before
so
I
was wondering if there's something else coming.
Potentially mine. So that sucks.
Yeah, that came up last week. The $500 reduction on the 6K one. We'll see if they do anything. I mean, they could easily just say the 4K is $999. You know, and I would be surprised if that didn't happen at a certain point in time. But don't forget that we have that R5 coming too, and tomorrow is Sony's press event, and it'll be interesting to see if the unicorn. I mean, the unicorn's got to be 8K, right? I think the unicorn's got to be 8K. It has to be. And
well, at least 6K.
Yeah, at least it has to be getting to R5 levels of spec after this long.
Yeah, it better.
And now with that having been announced, you know,
maybe that's how long it takes to get 10-bit on a Sony mirrorless camera. Sorry, Sony. I love you guys, but
it took a pandemic. Yep. I mean, I don't know what's going on. Yeah. Unbelievable. Okay. Well, somebody got a 300X already. David.
Hey,
man.
yo.
David is just going to town. Did you get a big refund this year? What's happening over there, man? All right. Good for you.
Nice.
Yeah, Travis, I feel bad for you. I went back and forth. I actually can't. I ordered the A10 mini normal one, the non-pro, and canceled and did the pro, and then the pro actually got here like a day or 2 or 3 ago. Where it seems the original one is still out of stock. It's unbelievable.
Yep. Any chance of an FX6 from Sony? I think we're due potentially by some point now or early fall for an FX6. One of my least favorite cameras under $10,000 is the FS5. That's what you mean, right? The FX6 or FS5 Mark III or whatever it's going to be called.
You got to give some credit to the FS5. Where it stands right now. Like, what is it right now in B&H? It's stupid cheap.
Yes, it is.
Considering you can have a ProRes RAW electronic ND, it's absurd. I'm going to have to look that up.
Well, so the original FS700. Dan Chung just shot some stuff on that camera. I used to own that camera. So did Ben. One. Yeah. Pretty amazing. Not the best dynamic range in the world, but aside from that and maybe a tiny audio issue, it's a pretty amazing camera.
I was shooting on that until probably about 14 months ago. I did my last job on it, which was an offshore job, so it was all rigged out with the Atomos on it, and it was just big and bulky. But I was looking at grading some images from that shoot today for my offshore show reel, and it's still really, really nice. The internal codec was horrific, but using an external recorder, it was a great thing. And I still, it's not worth selling now. You know, it's worth hanging on to. It's in the UK, but I'm going to bring it here.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you get for that now?
Wait till I do my video and they all go out of stock on eBay.
Oh, right, nice. Yeah, okay, cool.
Sorry for that.
Shiznut's made it. I meant two and a half, maybe.
Shiznut's made a comment. He said just downsample to 180p, and the reason I'm saying ha to him is the straw that broke the camel's back today when I was doing my light stream, thingamajiggy, the meltdown, was that I was texting tech support, and the guy that I know over there said, well, for some reason your camera's coming in at 180p. So my 1080p signal was coming in, and that's what was being broadcast out, was 180p. And remember, Caleb, when we bring stuff in, it like resizes itself magically. Yeah.
And that's when you Ron Swanson threw away the whole streaming platform. You know that part of the show where she just throws the computer in the trash. And earlier when you were like, we tip our hat to whatever, I was like, more like spit and throw salt over the shoulder or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I should run out to the barn and get my bottle of Lagavulin 16 right now. It would be appropriate. All right, good.
Well, so far so good. I know, I'm not superstitious, so I'll just be that guy. But 22 minutes in, looking fine. Got to remember to delete these.
The other interesting one that came out, the smaller thing this week, I had an interesting email at the weekend from Dan Fakos asking me about getting the EOS R to work as a webcam, because he knew that I used it for this. He got a client he was doing some work with. And he said, is it possible to use that just with a USB cable and to run that as a webcam? I went, no, you got to get a cam link, something you got to run out HDMI. And guess what? This week, since we had that conversation, Canon have brought out this new software to be able to run a huge pile of their cameras via a USB cable as a webcam, which is a pretty major thing, I think, really. I haven't tried it yet.
I was amazed by that. I haven't checked what cameras are on that list. Do you have any on the top of your head?
Big list.
Windows only for now.
Oh, boo.
For now. Yeah. But still, it's a big list of cameras. I don't know what the quality's like. I haven't tested it yet, but it's quite a big thing, really. Something that I felt must have been able to happen a long time ago, because I've had it in Sony cameras as well. I just keep thinking it would be such an amazing facility to have it, because their cam links, what, $100, something like that.
Yeah, 109, 119.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a fair big saving if you can just put that straight in. Anyway. I thought that was quite an interesting little upgrade from Canon. There we go.
Looking up the price, but no, I think that's really... Oh, that's not too bad, actually. Oh, just kidding. The Sound Devices released some new stuff. And so I was like, oh, this will be fun to look up. And I looked at the wrong thing, but if you've got, $5,500 you can get a Sound Devices CL16 Scorpio.
Is that board?
The big boy board.
The board.
Gorgeous.
Oh, it's beautiful. So nice. Come on. It's like a Scorpio in a mixing board, right? Or something?
Yeah, but somehow...
Yeah.
Well, I guess it has more. There's a 32 version that's like a smaller, not nearly as cool for $10,000. So, if you you're just wiping with $100 bills because you're out of toilet paper and you're super loaded... Just go throw it at that. I almost want to get one just to be like, so I upgraded from my YouTube setup just to watch people like lose it in the comments. Anyway, yeah, the Canon thing, that's really interesting, especially since their processors aren't that amazing. So I'm wondering how that's possible to just out of nowhere.
It can't be that complicated a thing, though, is it? When you think about an external, like the little, I can't remember what brand it was, but you have a small webcam that'll chuck 1080 out of it. It can't be that. The thing's only this big. It's what it's putting out, I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's like
next week I will endeavour
720.
to actually run my feed into this stream.
Yeah,
via that, and
that would be awesome.
See. Yeah, I have to use the other computer, but let's try it.
Yeah, I mean, if we get through the hour with no problems, we're going to be looking for things to do to break this system. So that's kind of the game. All right.
Yeah, we're only 26 minutes in. Like normally we've killed this amount of time.
I know.
No.
I literally just looked up at it. I'm like, where did what's going on here?
Do not put Shiz Nuts' comment on the overlay. That's all I have to say. Leave that alone. Thank you. And then, for goodness sake, where do you guys come up with this stuff?
Do you guys have anything else that stuck out to you?
Yes, the DJI.
Oh, of course.
DJI.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mavic Air 2.
Yeah.
Which actually does seem to be a big upgrade. It's just really a Mavic Pro to reduced in size and a smaller sensor. It's only half rather than the 1-inch sensor, which the full-size Mavic has. But otherwise, spec-wise, it's very similar, and in some ways even better because it's got higher frame rates. But there's some interesting little quirks with it. So the first being that, particularly in Europe, there's new drone legislation coming in this year, and they're wanting everything to have a system whereby it can read the transponder off an aircraft. So if an aircraft is somewhere in the vicinity, the drone starts going crazy and shouting at you and getting you to land. And the version that's being released in the US has this. The version that's being released initially in Europe doesn't, which seems utterly bizarre to me. But they're saying that later versions will. So it's almost like they're hamstringing their own sales. And this is huge, this new drone legislation that's coming in across the whole of Europe over this summer. It just seems like it would fit perfectly into that because the weight class is very good for that as well. It's very flexible as to the areas in which you can use it. You can use it over people because it's in this lower weight category. So it's interesting. I think they'll do well with it, but it just seems this very strange, staggered way of launching it. And I think it's all to do with this crazy situation that's going on globally at the moment and getting stock and getting things into the right places. But I think in a few months' time, when it all settles down, it'll be good. The footage looks quite good off it. It has the, what do they call it, the cine-like profile rather than the proper log. But I think it's all right. I'm quite interested in it, personally.
Nice. I'm not a drone guy, but that looked
I'm not yet, but I want
The controller looked really
I'm
cool. I
interested.
saw Peter McKinnon's video, which went trending, which is cool. And the controller looked really sweet. Oh, Gem just vanished. But we'll pretend that didn't happen.
He did like a thing. Is he just but his frame's still there?
Back.
Oh, that was freaky because you didn't actually leave the frame. He just
vanished.
Gone. And then the same coming back, he was just there again.
Now he's frozen.
Weird. Yeah.
Oh, he's back.
Now he's back.
Hi, Gem.
Now he's back.
Hi, Caleb. How are you?
Good. That never happened. You like how I super drew attention to what you're trying to do stealthily. Right. So that's DJI.
Yeah.
My Wi-Fi.
Sorry. Continue. Gem.
Can you see me? No. I just
Yes.
said my Wi-Fi router just died for some reason. So I just went out there and made sure that it was signaling, and that's all that happened. So it was not a Ecamm issue. I just, for some reason, I looked up at my Wi-Fi and it had completely dropped. Actually, it didn't drop. It hopped onto the other Wi-Fi, which is what the other 5 people in this house use. And I was wondering why everything was getting funky. And so I looked over and it wasn't connecting to my dedicated hotspot. So now we're okay, I think. So there we go. Yeah.
All
All right.
Right on. So next up, I thought I'd just really quickly just tip the hat to Aperture. They didn't really come out with a new item. Well, I guess they did. They have their bridge, Sidus Link bridge. So all their older lights now can work with Sidus Link. They also released Sidus Link for iPad, which doesn't sound like a big deal. But in the lighting industry, especially the professional, grip truck level stuff, that's a big deal. Like, I mean, tell me,
no,
Jen,
I think it is a big deal because if you go to News Shooter and you read the article, or you go to Aperture's website and you look at it, they've redesigned the app from the ground up. So it's not like they made an iPad version of Sidus Link, which is, I think, one of the reasons that we've gotten these messages from Aperture over the last week of, look, you may find that things are starting to break or not working right now because we're basically upgrading our system, but they couldn't say as much in terms of how or why. Sort of the gold standard right now is from Airy, which is their Stellar app, which is amazing. I mean, it's just, the user interface, the connectivity options and everything on that are really, really great. And from what I've seen, they're not duplicating that app, but they are really making a very professional, application in terms of how to control one-to-many lights. And it's going to be critical for them because as they move from the MC into the Nova line and what they do with that, it's game time, right? So my guess
100%.
is we see this app right now, and then Nova is coming soon, right?
Yeah.
Because you need this app to really take advantage of Nova. And vice versa.
Yeah.
It's like they kind of need each other. Yeah.
And in the pro world, like, the whole iPad thing is already in place. Like, you look at maybe not feature, but a lot of commercial. The guys who have trucks with multiple, what are they, the S60s? The light in the commercial industry right now. Yeah. All those guys are rocking DMX wireless iPad stuff, or at least a lot that I follow. The ones that do anything on the internet and talk about it, like Meet the Gaffer, him and his colleagues all use that kind of stuff. So for Aperture to be thinking ahead into that, and I think Aperture's a year or two away from like rental domination. Their fixtures are just now reaching that where rental houses are actually considering, and a couple have, but not many yet. But they're getting rental level very, very shortly. So it's exciting.
Sorry, I'm catching it. The comments didn't refresh, and I'm reading some of the comments about how I disappeared. So I was just having a chuckle. I agree with you. I think that, you look at what Aperture's doing, they're definitely not just going for the owner operator right now. When you look at the medical industry is iPad based, and so is the production industry, and they will become more so because wireless DMX is very much a thing, and is, maybe if you're on Broadway and you're a lighting designer, lighting director, you're not necessarily going to always use an iPad. You'll be at the board. But I think that that's starting to change as well, because what happens is you can walk a space when you're lighting a space, and you can make all of your changes, and you can basically, like, a lighting designer can get up on the stage with an iPad, or DP, or mainly a gaffer if you're talking about commercials and episodic and films, and they can walk around. They can literally walk to the space where the light is coming from, and they can start dialing in changes, and they can see those changes in real time, and they can see what's happening there. And then you just roll a scout, innovative scout with a DIT over there, and you're sitting there looking at your feed and you're making changes. I mean, you can essentially stand in for talent being in that spot with an iPad. It's pretty crazy what's happening right now. So I'm excited. It's good.
There were some really interesting things that they were demonstrating in the live stream that they did a little bit earlier this evening, and using the MCs, using banks of them, and then being able to program really quickly all these, I don't know what you call them, like a train of lights, and being able to have things moving around them. It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
The application of things like music videos, just
100%.
Be amazing.
No, that's the first thing I thought of when I
amazing.
saw them like doing that stuff. What they need to do now, though, is complete the line. Like I tweeted several weeks ago, if Aperture adds tubes of some kind, and light mats of some kind, they've got it all. High output, large chip, they're completely killing it in that realm.
Yeah.
You know, with the future 600E coming out, they've got their small LED lights like the MC. They've kind of like dropped the panels in a, you know, they haven't released, aside from the Nova, of course. They're getting into RGB. They've got the bicolor coming, getting that figured out. But if they have tubes and if they have mats, they've got it all, right? Like if they could make an affordable Titan tube with some stuff that, you know, sprinkle a little aperture magic on it with something new.
Yeah. I'm going to throw a curveball. It's not a total curveball, but what if you took Sidus Link and what they're doing and you make that open source as Aperture, because they have a tight relationship with Quasar, and you say, let Quasar be the tube company, but let them put what they need to put inside of their Quasar tubes to connect to Sidus Link. So basically you open the network up so that Aperture doesn't have to be, you know, a company that creates the entire ecosystem, which can be very hard when you go into all of these product categories. But they are enabling the connection between fixtures from different manufacturers, because in some ways that's the better place to be, because you're the connectivity, you know, you're the Cisco. And I'm not saying they shouldn't still make hardware products, but it could be really interesting if they say, look, mats are not where we want to go. You know, we don't really want to go into the tube-based business, but let's make sure we make this essentially open source. And open source would be the best way for them to do it. And then they just keep updating the app, keep putting out their fixtures, and if it becomes industry standard, trust me, their fixtures are going to be on sets and on trucks and all that stuff as well. So that's not a curveball, but I think it's just another way to look at the whole infrastructure. Yeah.
Price-wise, though, it'd be nice to get some love.
For sure.
Quasars, I mean, compared to Titans, Quasars aren't the end of the world.
No, not ridiculous.
Also, that bulb, I hope they come out with that bulb and the
Nova. Oh, come on.
That's been so long.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did see on their Facebook page they have some different looking ones on their photos. But please, I've been dying. I've been cutting cords on all my most aesthetically favorite for the studio.
Lamps.
I've got a bunch of lamps. I'm cutting all the cords because I want to start throwing those puppies in there, man. So bad.
No, honestly, it would just be the most. You would just have a box of them that you go everywhere with you.
Yes, I have no joke. I'm going to buy tons of those things.
Yeah, same.
And you know that's
that was a year ago. That was this time last year that those were announced.
Well, the Nova was 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years. So how about this, Caleb? So you take the bulb concept, and then in one version of it, you can either screw it into a standard Edison socket, but it's a tube type. You know, there are tube-based bulbs, and it still has the Edison socket, but there's a built-in rechargeable battery in there. So you can basically run it off of the battery, or you can power it off of a socket. And that would be a great way for them to get into that same product category, but not necessarily make the same product that everybody else is. So you're not trying to make a Titan. You're not trying to make a Quasar. You're saying, okay, so we're going to create these practicals for you, but one of our practicals comes in 1 foot and 2 foot lengths, and you can plug it into an Edison if you want to, but you can also have a rechargeable battery, and the thing will run for an hour and change, at full output or intensity. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Those things with the app, being able to program them, that's going to be... Yeah.
I mean, those bulbs,
what
because
was the retail on those? Like 60? Something like that? It weren't a lot, were they?
Yeah, 50, 60, somewhere like that. But just to chuck it, in a corner, because I'm using MCs for that now. But there's something to be said for, and if they could even go a step further and come up with a line of little modifiers, can you imagine a little thing that magnetically pops on and adds a grid or something so you can go nuts. Oh, but mainly just so I can literally thread it into a lamp.
Yeah,
because you can buy lamps for nothing on Amazon that you like the aesthetics of. Practicals, man. Just throw them in the background, change the color temp.
People have been doing it with the Philips Hue system for quite some time, but it's just not the same. It's not the same ecosystem. No. It's not. Nope. It's not what Aperture is creating. It's not Sidus Link. It's not all of that stuff. So it's not as if the concept is new. It's just the execution and it being designed specifically for what we do in our industry. And we should be getting much better white light out of those bulbs as well, I'm hoping. Because if there's an amber and then there's a daylight in there, and then there's also the RGB, and they keep their formula essentially, which they're already putting into the MC. I mean, if they can sell an MC for $90, they can lick this one. They can do it for sure, Yeah. And if they're $50 a pop, and you can buy, a 10-pack, for I don't know, for $350, $400, people are going to do it. They're just going to have it in their kit.
I think a 4-pack is like perfection with the bulbs.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. Yep.
Well, and as you say, it's not because it does the full RGB, but just using them to match up to what you've got, and then just going, I just want a tiny little bit warmer than my key, just a tiny, it's just, amazing.
It's absurd to be able to put a lamp in a corner of a room and put a bulb in it and match any window light coming through that's bouncing off a weird wall. It's absurd.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Yep. You know what I love in the app? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, well, last year when we saw them at NAB, and I was like, right, that's what my kids are getting for Christmas, and I love it. And they didn't get them because they still didn't exist.
Yeah.
Maybe this year.
I have one lamp in my house that I'm going to get one for too, because it's got the shade is slightly yellowy green. So I'm going to put it into it and
even it out.
Minus green. Yeah.
I was going to say you're going to take out
literally
all the
use
crap
it in my
that
house.
Lampshade
I love the lamp. It's this big arching one, It's awesome in the room, but it just can't turn it on. It looks stupid.
It's ridiculous.
Sorry, Jem. I interrupted.
No, it's totally fine. I was just sort of thinking about the whole, using practicals, and it's definitely something for me that, when I talk about lighting an interview, when you're lighting talent and you're thinking about background light, you generally want to either match color temperatures or you want to go warm, cool. Because if you go cool, warm in the background, it feels a little sickly on talent, right? So but that's if you're lighting up the whole background. But I have a very different viewpoint about practicals. I think that you can use for your talent and things that are happening, and then you can have these little pops of warmth and mixed colors in the background, and that just creates separation and interest. And I'm excited about these, and I hope they just don't come as just standard Edison bulbs. I do hope that they fully just go all in, and they're the company that we can now go to for all of the, because if you go to a home improvement store now, like a Lowe's or a Home Depot here in the States, the LEDs that you have for bulbs are amazing. Like you can get these amazing 2700, 2500 Kelvin, huge Edison style bulbs that are really warm. And then you get ones that are long and, they're designed for all these different fixtures. They also have the quartz versions of them, like the hot light versions. But I would love to see that from a company like Aperture. I'd love for them to take that and say, we've got a bare bulb version. Quasar has some bare bulb versions, by the way.
They have
you
the
can buy
Edison
those
as
now.
well.
Different colors. They do, and they have some cool stuff. But I just want to see more of that and more control, and it just makes things really interesting. It's good.
Nice.
Uncomfortable.
Well, it's 5:44. So, folks, what's going on in the chat? Anything you've seen that we have not talked about or just that interests you? I was just reading up on this, just a quick tweet I read about the whole Zcam copied camera. And it looks like there's some drama there, so that's fun. Always enjoyable.
Oh, somebody's asking for, Shiznut says that needs an air horn. Show them what we're made of right now, an Ecamm. Let's see what we got. Can you give them a little present? Let's give them a little present.
Have you heard about the drama? I hope that went through.
I love that we can't hear it.
I know. I heard it before, but now I don't hear it anymore.
It would have gone so nicely with your little eyebrow raise.
Is this still going off? There's a little icon next to it. Do I have to pause it?
Rob, great to see you. Thanks for the all the love and everything, and I'll talk to you soon. I think we have a conversation coming up from what I saw, so that's cool. Good. Anybody new in here?
There's a good chance the air horn was going off that entire time, from when I clicked it till just now. So we'll find out and let us know. Didn't hear it?
360 has seen some rumor that the R5 price should be around $3,500. That seems exceptionally unlikely to me.
I would be amazed. Where did you hear this, 360 grad?
Yeah,
Twitter.
I would be amazed.
Yeah,
amazed. No one heard the air horn, by the way.
You can't.
But yeah.
Oh no, we'll have to figure out why it's not working.
Yeah, thank God we have a technical problem.
$3,500 for a full frame 8K
not happening.
Internal RAW with CFast from Canon.
No. Shocked if it's less than 4, but really I think it's a $5,000 to $6,000 camera. That's where I think it's falling.
It's 5 to 6. 4 I would buy one straight away. I think it's yeah. I'm still more excited.
It's 10 megabits per second. 10 megabits per second in 8K. Don't forget that. Okay.
And in-body stabilization. I was talking to someone at I have a meeting every other week about YouTube stuff, and I've been thinking about doing a video, but I hate doing those let's talk about the camera that I don't have, and that I'm just clearly doing this just for views because it's a hot topic. But I do think there's an interesting conversation to be had when you look at the entire Canon line of cameras you would buy as someone who does video or film, whatever, and the gaps. And there's a lot of gaps on the low ends. Like if you're talking about cameras that do shoot log, I'm not talking about the EOS M line or the M mount cameras, really. There's a huge jump. What would you say, Ben? EOS R to an extent, but when you're talking about keeping up with modern times, it really all starts at, the C200.
It does, really.
So this camera is going to come out, and I agree, probably around $5,000, 5 to 6, somewhere in there. Yeah. So there's still going to be that $2,000 full frame 4K, keep up with at least the A7 III, which is now 2 years old.
Yeah, but it's interesting because Canon have really tried to keep their video and their stills line separate, and they've really been trying to hamstring the stills cameras to keep them more stills, keep the cinema stuff. And in the last month or two, that seems to have been thrown out of the window. So it's difficult because then I suppose something like the C200, which in that thing's coming down and down and down, you can get that for $4,000 in the UK now, £4,000.
What?
So the C200,
right?
The B or the full one?
Not sure. I was talking to Jago about it earlier when he'd seen, and the amount of used ones coming up, but for crazy cheap with loads and loads of memory cards and rigs and all kind of cages, all that kind of stuff with them. But it's really interesting to see where that is going to sit, because it's then for those people who I suppose are a little like me that still have a foot in both camps in terms of doing stills and doing video. That then becomes a very serious piece of kit, and in some ways probably more attractive than something like the C200. And more usable. It's a lot less intimidating for someone who's coming from a photography background into shooting video, and that's happening to a lot of still shooters. We've known this for years, that they're all getting pressured by their clients. Oh, can't you just, your camera does video, doesn't it? Can you not just, while you're doing the shoot, can you not just, shoot a little bit of video? It's the same thing, right? So this kind of stuff goes on, and I think for that, it becomes very attractive. But we'll see.
Yeah, but the thing they're also going to change. Good, Jem. Sorry.
No, you go ahead. Go.
I was going to say, it is. They have changed, but they haven't. There's still this huge gap. You gotta pony up if you want average specs.
Well, but the R6 looks like it's going to be average too, which is weird. It's the R5.
Right, but isn't that going to be like a high megapixel count, which means compromises for video?
I think
blah blah blah.
Yeah. I think it is, but I mean, think that they need to come out with that camera because they need a mirrorless version of the 1DX Mark III, and that's where they're coming into the market with that camera. But it's not going to interest this market very much, and it's going to be a hard sell to the high-end sports people when you just came out with the 1DX Mark III. You know, they're used to that form factor already, and that is the sports camera, right? So why are they now going to go into RF mount, rebuy all their lenses and everything else? There's not a big
This is the thing, and people in the chat are talking about incentivizing people to come into the new mount, to coming into that system. But the R mount stuff, it's great. The reviews of all the lenses are very good. But a lot of us invested into EF. Canon's own adapters work flawlessly with EF. It performs as native EF. So it's not incentivizing people hugely because it's completely easy to just keep going with your EF mount glass. So I'm not sure that is the incentivization to really get people into it and move people over and be selling lenses on that basis, because
they've done a great job with that transition. They made it seamless, but at the same time, if you really look into the RF lenses, it's hard not to move over, you know. Like if I was a Canon only guy, I'd just forget it. All right, that's it. You know, if I'm running around shooting like that, what is it, the 70-200, the way it's so compact, and the 50 millimeter is a billion times better than the old one. It's just,
but they don't have proper cinema cameras with that are using that mount yet.
Right, which is painful. Which when I asked them about that, it was strength. They didn't think it was strong enough for cinema lenses.
So if Canon have said that, then clearly the roadmap isn't that's where everything's going to go long term.
Right.
You know, if they've said that mount's up to it.
And the Canon thing, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Jem, but like if the Canon departments that are thinking about cinema and their cinema cameras, they're thinking, for the most part, I would imagine, well, we have our cinema lenses. So why would you want an RF lens when you can, you know, check out our two different lines of lenses?
That's good. Yeah, that's a good segue.
Or at least that's what they might say when you press them.
Well, so here's the thing. Right now, we've just dropped, Canon has just dropped the C500 Mark II, C300 Mark III. Both are native EF mount out of the box when you buy them. You can obviously do a locking EF mount. You can do PL mount. No RF mount, of course. So the question is, when they get into the video camera space, digital cinema camera space, it's probably not going to be on that side of the market, which brings us back to the XC15 and that form factor. And if they're going to come into video, I think they're more likely to do it in the C100 space, C200 space, than they are in that upper end of the market, because it makes more sense for the EOS R, EOS R5 people that they're now starting to invest in RF lenses because they're already going into those mirrorless cameras, and then they transition over, or they get a camera that has two XLR inputs, has built-in ND, you put an RF mount on there, and they can start with whatever sensor size they want, but they could easily, if an R5 is 8K with all those features, and let's say it comes in at $6,000, they still have a nice pocket in there of that $3,000 to $5,000 price range where they could come out with an interchangeable lens, small format camera, which would probably be really interesting to a lot of people.
But also the RF mount as a whole is an interesting concept, and Red are obviously using that for the Komodo. And the reason it's interesting is because it's completely adaptable. Now EF, the flange distance on it's pretty big. So it's very hard to adapt stuff onto an EF mount camera, the native EF mount camera. Other than the EF lens, there's very little that goes on it, and you can maintain infinity focus. Now you've got this now tiny flange distance on the new mount. Then you can put loads of stuff on it. It becomes a more flexible thing, and it can bring more people into the brand because they can bring legacy lenses over. So it is useful from that point of view. It just confuses me a bit with what you were saying, Caleb, that they're saying that mount won't put up with the abuse that it needs to. it would seem an odd decision to have built that because
I think that was just, I mean, the place and people I was talking to from Canon at the time, like, I you know, their philosophy is just a little different, and that might be just that's how we, I guess another way to put it, they might be using that as like if you're going to do this, you got to buy an adapter, and we don't think that's strong enough. Like, these are the people who, they realized the RF mount was going to be shorter flange distance, like you talked about, which means the opening is closer to the sensor. So they built like a space grade shielding mechanism in the shutter. So when you turn the camera off, it covers it up, which
is brilliant.
So if they're thinking about that kind of stuff, then yeah, an adapter on their cinema cameras with a cinema lens, that's unacceptable. So yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Thank you,
ahead, Jem.
Bart. Thanks for coming. No, I was just saying bye to Bart. He said he's got to run. Something about Star Wars. Oh yeah, there we go. But we're not going to see you before May 4th.
Construction.
May the 4th be with you. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So we've got the Sony event coming up tomorrow. So I guess this could be part 3 next week if there's enough announced. And are there any other companies coming out with stuff that you guys know of?
I hope Aperture, Nova, and the bulbs hit me.
It's a 4-week thing, I think. I think we're week
4
2.
Weeks.
Right?
Okay. Okay.
That's what my understanding was. We've got 2 more weeks of things from Aperture. So that's what I'm hoping to.
Saving the best
I'm
for
hoping
last.
to. I don't even need the
speed rail section waiting for that Nova. It's just empty.
I like it. That's good. Cool. How was overall, except for a couple of little tiny hiccups for everybody in the chat, how was everything in terms of quality of show today? I'm not talking about the content. We're talking about picture and sound. But with the experience on your end, be flawless besides me pulling the David Copperfield, as somebody said?
What's amazing was that when you just started giving that, you just broke up.
Yeah, right as he starts talking about quality, it starts dipping.
I did that on purpose.
Well, you have to understand, Jem is in a beautiful part of the country where he's got a little PUCK, puck, reaching out to the internet, bouncing off the side of the moon, and coming back through like a forest for his internet connection. So it's amazing that we're getting this.
Yeah. But on that, so in Europe last week, there was this huge meteor shower, and everyone was talking about that. But also, there were all these satellites that all got launched at once, and you could see them moving over the night sky. It was a really clear night. It was amazing. And these are all part of this new Elon Musk's, I can't remember what it's called, Starnet or Skynet or something.
Yeah. Skylink or something. Yeah, Starnet.
So he's got like 400 and something satellites going up. Cheers. And so we in those of us that live in the sticks, because Jem's in the middle of nowhere. I live in a little village way out in the sticks as well. I can't get good internet here. Thankfully, this is the middle of the night, so it kind of picks up a bit because everyone's gone to bed at this time. But yeah, so this could be an option, and apparently it's super quick and going to be available to everyone on the planet in Starlink. Thank you, 360.
Yeah. And when? Soon.
This year.
Right?
This year in the US.
I'm in. I pay many dollars a month for that. I just need reliable. I'm totally willing for the investment.
Gigabit Ethernet for about $80 a month in the US, but it's probably going to be cheaper in Europe.
I pay $200 a month for that.
What?
Big.
You would pay, right? Okay.
When you're on the sticks, you pay through the bottom.
Let me just tell you, no. If I can do what I do for a living reliably with what I want to do, and it costs me $200 a month, that's a small investment to pay. That's a lot less than I pay for my cars. Shiznuts, huge shout out, €5. That is a lot of Tim Hortons coffee, I've got to say. And you kind of up Rob on that one, but it's I love it, and it's awesome. And thank you for always being a part of what we do here at on the channel, and being part of Cameron Flask, and also being kind of part of the banter, which is important to a show like this for sure. Absolutely. Very, very important. Will I do a video training series on the C300 Mark III, small brown fox? The answer is yes and no. Just finished the C500 Mark II for MZ Pro, and we're going to do an addendum when that camera comes out, which covers all the differences between the two cameras. So essentially that one course will cover the C500 Mark II and the C300 Mark III, and those are the only answers that I needed to give to peoples. Just
delicious.
Saying. Okay, there you go. Thank you, Shiznuts. Yes. Yep.
All right. People are talking about what they're paying a month for internet. Fun stuff.
US,
Love that conversation.
Guys you pay stupid amounts compared to Europe for internet.
When I saw PewDiePie record his speed test at a hotel somewhere in Europe, it was like Switzerland or somewhere.
Hold on. Do you see what's going on with David Carroll here? And look at, is that a hungry hippo with a rocket on its eye? And what's going on? Thank you, David. We appreciate you. Now
I don't want to
say cheeky things to us. Go ahead. What?
I don't want to assume, but I think that's a fake. That's a fake donation. So? Yeah, because it's supposed to have like a little thing around it. Here's Shiz. Oh, it's not showing up here. No, David, you son of a gun.
David.
I mean,
David,
I haven't checked YouTube,
if
but
it's real, thank you. Otherwise, oh boy.
It's David, real. I'm sorry. I spoke wrong. I spoke wrong. In the software we're using, it looked like fake, but it's real. 100%. 1995 from David. So that's
1999.
Legit. 1999.
I love it. Thank you. Let's have a 15-minute convo about your new equipment. Not that it wouldn't be free anyway, but just saying. Come on over. Sorry, Caleb, you were saying it is a super sticker. Super sticker. Is that such a thing? What's super chat?
A super chat.
No,
super
I'm just
sticker.
No,
I don't know.
Super sticker.
That's
the sticker
what
with
the new
the
kids are doing,
chat.
I guess. David,
Thank
enlighten
you.
us. Never seen it.
Yeah, I like it.
Wow,
okay.
Amazing. I'll move that up there. We'll just cover the logo.
Okay.
I don't know what I was saying. I was just dumbfounded by the level of generosity from your community.
Starlink. I'm gonna have to get on. I'm gonna go and talk to Elon Musk after this because I really need this faster internet. And 5G, by the way, is not always faster. Yeah, me too. But you know that 5G is not necessarily faster. It just depends. If you're close to the source of the 5G, then you're out of control. But for somebody like me out in the country,
no, you're done.
It's not necessarily
cooked.
faster. I'm done. 5G is not the answer.
You need
so I
1G.
think we got to get into Starlink.
4G is slower than the LTE stuff here.
Well, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, it's 6:03. So with that, we're going to wrap this puppy up. But the good news is we'll be back next week. And one of those two beautiful gentlemen below me will be speaking as hosts. I don't know what was going on there. So we're going to wrap this up. To those who super stickered us and super chatted us, thank you, Shiznuts. Thank you, David. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. Hopefully this finishes well. This ends well. We're going to try hitting this finish button here on the software that we're using for the first time. Gentlemen, anything final to finish this one off? Ben?
No, just been amazing having a completely or almost completely glitch-free show this week. It's been great. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming along and for getting involved. Always wonderful. Again, lockdown here seems to be coming slightly to an end, so I'm thinking real socializing might be happening again soon. But this has been wonderful for these last few weeks. 5, 6, 7 weeks of being locked down here. Having this every week has been an enormous help. So thanks again for everyone's kind of friendship and camaraderie in the chat and with you two, obviously, as well. It's been very good. So thank you one and all.
Good. Jago says, how much is your Ecamm Pro? We could try and fund it here. Wow, that would be amazing. But these donations are how you do it. It's about $240 for the year, so it's not too expensive. And trust me, if this continues to work relatively well, then this may be our solution for now. Are you okay with this, Caleb, using this every week, or do you think it's an OBS thing, or is there enough in here right now to make the experience worth not going OBS? And I know we're finishing up, but that's just a quick question.
If we can figure out how to do it without having to use 2 different capture devices, I'm using a whole capture device for that logo.
Which is ridiculous.
Which is stupid, but that aside, I think it's a winner. It's just dumb that that's what's required, but yeah.
Well, I already have a tech support ticket. I have a tech support ticket into Ecamm about that very thing, Caleb. So we'll see how their customer support is and how that works out as well. Please subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed. If you know people who are interested in this type of content, tell them about the channel. And as always, we are in our respective places for questions and to help you figure things out here on the C47 channel, Caleb at DSLR Video Shooter, and Ben in the future at a YouTube channel that exists is coming to you soon.
I put a video up on my channel today.
No.
Jago.
What is happening?
Jago. Okay. Unbelievable. All right. Beautiful. Everybody, have a good one. Love you all, and take care of yourselves as we continue to hunker down and watch the planet come into and out of this insanity in its own way. And we'll see you all next week. It was great. Thank you for hosting, Caleb, and we'll have more to chat about. It's good.
Sounds
all the best.
Good.
I guess, do we push a logo? I don't know how it works in this system.
We're going to try it. I'm going to push a logo. We'll mute the audio, and hopefully this works. Love you guys. See you next week. Command 1.
Okay.
And
we'll keep talking. And we'll keep talking while you push the logo to see if they can actually hear us, which would be interesting.
Hear us. Unfortunately,